we as sellers have done a fantastic job of boring the ever-loving crap out of our buyers.
Because if you sound like everybody else, well, you get treated like everybody else.
Oh, don't think it's going to go back to normal.
No, it's not.
I would hope. It's not the process that makes you excellent. Okay. It's not the message that makes you excellent. It's the delivery that makes you excellent. People need to systematize their hiring process as scientifically as they do their sales process to get the best candidates in this market.
All right, so here's my question for each of you that I want you to think about today. So whether you're about to enter into a meeting with a board, it might even be from Zoom today to finalize a deal you've been working on, whether you're in the gym right now thinking about your prospecting that you're doing today, or if you're driving to your next sales call or appointment, or you're about to pick up a phone to follow up with a prospect, okay, wherever you're at right now, I want you to think about this, and I want you to think about, have you ever wondered like what it takes to be at the very top in sales, the 1% in your industry, whether you're a company, a business owner, a consultant, a coach, an individual salesperson, the company who has all the prestige, or the salesperson who makes all the money, who gets any promotion they want, who has all the respect in that organization, who leads by example. If you've ever wondered that, my next guest is going to answer that question for you. And let me give you a very small taste of her background. My guest today is the founder and president, I want you to write this down, of the Bridge Group and author of the best-selling book, The Sales Development Playbook. She's an authority on inside sales, if not the authority, and often remarks how lucky she is to work with an amazing team, helping sales and marketing leaders make big decisions on implementation strategy, performance improvement process, supporting technology, and metrics and management. For more than 2 decades, she's promoted inside sales as a community, profession, and engine for revenue growth. And in that process, the Bridge Group has worked with well over 200 B2B technology clients to build, expand, and optimize their inside sales efforts. Through a combination of hard work and timing, she and her team's research and ideas have been featured on Inc.com, Forbes, by associations like SLMA and AAISP, and across more than 68 sites in the sales and marketing world. Today, she's going to share her perspectives and expertise on modern day selling, including some of the very key challenges that sales professionals are facing right now during the pandemic. Please help me welcome to the show, Trish Bertuzzi. Trish, how are you today?
I'm excited to meet myself after that intro.
I mean, hey, you know, we build you up because you deserve it. I probably could have included a lot more there, but I didn't want to take the first 20 minutes of the show just to go over your bio. So I'm excited to have you on here today, especially with an expert that understands how selling has really changed dramatically, and even very recently. And I love talking about people who get and who understand human behavior and certain techniques that salespeople really have to use that work with human behavior, whereas most salespeople use techniques that work against human behavior, like what it takes to be at the very top as a business, an organization, a salesperson. So I wanted to dive right into your story and give our listeners a little feel for your background and how you arrived at this point where you're one of the elite authorities on sales and leadership. Can you tell us, maybe for the next few minutes, a little bit more about your background and how all this started for you? Like, how did you learn all these skills?
Well, I'm old.
Oh, God.
All right. So I've been selling for 35 years.
Sure.
So if you haven't learned anything in 35 years, then a little scary. So here's how I view sales. First of all, I'm passionate about it. Yeah. I think it is the best profession on the face of the planet. I also think it's a craft. Okay. And as in any craft, you have to practice your craft. You have to hone your craft. Yeah. You have to learn and stay current with your craft. Sure. So though I've had the Bridge Group for 22 years, and we've done consulting, I still do outbound every day.
You hone your craft.
I hone my craft. Yeah. It is like you can't see it. There's a stand-up desk over there. My happiest times are at that stand-up desk doing outbound. I love figuring out, how am I going to help this company? How do I get them to know that? What's the story I'm going to tell them? What channel should I tell them that story in?
Sure.
Like the whole thing.
Yeah.
I use every technology practically on the face of the planet because I'm always trying new techs.
Sure.
And I think that's just, I'm a continuous student.
So you're continuing, and that's something that's important, and a motto in our organization is, is training something that you did or is training something that you do.
Yes.
And to be elite in sales, to be the very top selling organization or company or sales professional, it's something that you continually learn. You're exactly right, because things change, consumers change, buying behaviors change. And if you're not up to date with that, well, you just get left behind. That leads me into the next question that I wanted to ask you. I was going to ask you, like, what did you do to become elite in sales? But I think you already answered that. You honed your craft. You studied your craft. That's why you got here. I was watching you speak online actually yesterday. Was watching a couple of videos. And one thing that you've mentioned over and over again is that the beginning of the sales process is equally as important as the end of that process. Can you tell us more about what you mean by that?
I'm going to tweak it a little bit.
Okay.
What I've been saying is that the hardest part of the sales process is now getting to engagement with the buyer.
I agree. Yeah.
Right? Getting that buyer to listen, understand why you now, and want to have a conversation with you has always been a challenge. And I think it's just exponentially harder now.
Why do you think that is now?
Because we as sellers have done a fantastic job of boring the ever-loving crap out of our buyers.
Right.
With not nice messaging. I almost swore, caught myself. With bad messaging, email as a spam cannon, social outreaches that do nothing but promote ourselves. We've lost along the way. We've lost our way in understanding that our job really is to help them be successful.
Yeah. We've lost the humanization of sales in my thought process. I think you're exactly right. If you call a prospect, let's say you're cold calling, and you say, hi, is Sherry there? Hey, Sherry, it's Jeremy. I'm with XYZ company. And the reason why I called you today is click, right? The beginning of that sales process, you sound exactly like every single salesperson calling that prospect day after day after day. So you become commoditized in their mind. And you're automatically trigger what we call sales resistance, where that wall comes up. And like you said, the beginning of that sales process is the hardest, because if you sound like everybody else, well, you get treated like everybody else. And you go through tons of calls just to try to make a sale. So I agree with you. The beginning of the process, really the sale is made at hello. It's not really made at the very end with a few closing techniques. That's just a logical next step to solve the problem. It's really made in that engagement process from the beginning of that call into that sales and discovery conversation to see what their problems are, if any, if they know what their true problems are, because maybe they don't even know what their true problems are yet. You have to become a problem finder and help them solve that. What are the root causes of those problems? How do they get there? And then how are those problems impacting them? Like what is it doing to them? So I'm so in tune with what you're saying, that the sales process is so important at the very beginning. Now, let's talk about the pandemic. This is on everybody's mind, okay? Yeah. How has the pandemic impacted and changed modern day selling? I know you're talking a lot about this.
Well, in my world, which is sales development, inside sales, my world has been virtual selling for years, right? I mean, that's what we teach people to do, how to use the phone, web, and social media to generate pipeline and revenue. So I think what's changed exponentially, though, is field sales. You can't just get in your car or get on a plane and go visit someone anymore. So I think field sellers have had to pivot their skills and understand, how do you develop relationships and have great conversations in a little black box, just like we're doing now.
Sure.
How do you do that? it's foreign to them. They're mano-a-mano people. So
how are the top sellers in field sales being able to do that, whereas others are still kind of being left behind thinking that, oh, it's going to change and go back to normal? What are they doing differently?
Oh, don't think it's going to go back to normal.
No, it's not.
I would hope you're not thinking that, right? But I think the people who pivoted it understand that this is a relationship. You and I, we're developing a relationship right now.
Sure.
It doesn't matter if we're in the same room. Yeah. I know CROs, and CMOs have been hired and never met a single person at the company they're going to work for in the past couple months. So the world, it is a changing, and you need to embrace it.
Yeah, you have to embrace the change or you're going to get left behind, especially in sales right now. You talk a lot about how companies, that kind of leads us into the next question, how a lot of companies are taking the people out of the process and how they're, I would say, I think you said shooting themselves in the foot by focusing so much of their attention on technology and automation.
Yeah.
What's behind that?
They want to push the easy button.
Meaning?
Think about it. How much easier it is to say, as a leader, I'm going to buy a technology. Okay, it's $35 a month per user. I'm going to buy that, and that's going to make my team successful, as opposed to sitting down and completely evaluating what's our process, what's our message, how are those discovery calls going? Don't even get me going on how bad discovery calls have become. You know, how do I coach my people? That investment is way more than $35 per head per month.
It takes a lot more time.
It absolutely does. And it takes very specific skills, and it takes continuity, and it takes, measurement, and it takes individualized strategies based on the unique skills of each of your reps. Easy button, buy technology.
And where does that lead most companies right now that are doing that? They're going down that dangerous path. What are you seeing?
I love it because they end up being a client eventually.
Sure.
So please hit the button, hit the easy button.
Right.
Yep, make me happy. I think now those are the people, some people have tapped the brakes over the past few months. I think the people that didn't do the hard work have now hit the brakes over the past couple months. I think therein lies the difference.
One thing that you say is that you can't, let's talk a little bit more into that. You can't automate excellence. What does that mean in your thought process?
Everyone talks about personalization being a critical success factor in sales, and I completely agree with that. Personalization at scale is a little bit harder, but there are strategies around that as well. I think it's not the process that makes you excellent. Okay. It's not the message that makes you excellent. It's the delivery that makes you excellent.
Okay.
Like you could give 4 salespeople the exact same process, the exact same strategy, the exact same message, but it's the person who's behind it and delivering it in a way to their buyers.
When you say their delivery, are you talking about their discovery calls? Are you talking about the questions they're asking, the tonality? Tell us more behind that.
Well, one of the things we've found, because obviously we focus a lot on sales development teams. Yeah. And sales development teams are chartered with either setting introductory meetings, or most set introductory meetings, or some qualified opportunities. Where we see pipeline leakage the most is in that initial discovery call.
Okay.
Because, and I'm flip-flopping on this, it's either because our sales muscles have atrophied when it comes to launching the sales process off something that's not done. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Okay. I don't know if they have budget. I don't know if they have authority. I kind of know that they have some needs. I don't know if they have time frame, though I hate BANT. I just went there. How do I craft a vision with this potential buyer so that I can launch the sales process? Yeah. Keyword launch. Yeah. Right? I think we need to spend way more time with our sellers there. Yeah. Because it's not easy. Sure. It's not easy.
Well, and you hit something on the head that I just picked up on you. You said you hate BANT. Tell us more about that. I'm a big critic of BANT, and I'll give you my thoughts on that. But tell us your thoughts on why BANT might not be that effective in our day and age.
I hate BANT when it's used at the wrong place in the sales process and when it's all cobbled together.
Yeah.
Like when someone's banting you, right?
Sure, like question answer. It's like a robot, right? The biggest challenge with BANT is that it comes from a faulty understanding of what the sales process actually is and human behavior. Because BANT assumes that every prospect you talk to already knows what their problems are and just has a budget set on the side to solve that problem. But here's what we have to understand. That's really that's what it comes from. That's the basis of BANT. But the problem is that most of your prospects don't know what their problems are. Or maybe I'd say 90% of them don't know what problems they have. Or maybe they feel like they have a problem, but they're not really sure of what the true problem actually is. Or maybe what the problem is doing to them, or the root cause of the problem, or the potential consequences if they don't do anything about that problem. So you're just assuming that they already know the stuff, whereas most people don't know. So your questioning ability, your discovery process, becoming what we call a problem finder, not a problem finder, a problem solver, not a product pusher. Your questions you ask help them discover what their true problems are. Mm-hmm. They might not have thought they had. It challenges their status quo. That's the best salespeople do, right? So it's just like, I'll give you an example. It's just like, let's say that you have a really bad headache. And you're like, you know what? I've got $50 to fix my headache. I've got $50 to my name. I'm going to fix my headache. I'm going to go to the pharmacy and I'm going to get this medicine to fix my headache. And then you go and it doesn't work that well. So you go into the doctor and they do, they do an MRI and they find that you have a brain tumor. And oh, by the way, you've only got 6 months to live, and that brain tumor, for them to fix it, your insurance isn't going to cover it, and it's going to cost $100,000. Well, the hell with the budget. You're going to go out and find that budget, right? You're going to go find that budget to go solve that problem. And that's the biggest problem with BANT and so many salespeople.
Well, so here's the other thing. I think you nailed it and articulated it extremely well. The other thing I think that we've struggled with as salespeople is, not everyone's selling an aspirin. A lot of people have been very successful selling vitamins.
Yeah.
Vitamins nowadays are nice to have. Everybody's looking for an aspirin. So right. You have to figure out at your company, how do you turn that vitamin into something that's aspirin-y for you to be successful?
I love that. I want to dive into, you were talking about SDRs a minute ago. Are SDRs at risk of being replaced by automation, or is that just a ploy to get attention in the media?
It's a ploy.
Tell us why.
Well, because it takes the whole human factor. There's some ridiculous stat out there. It makes me crazy that says buyers have done 70% of their research before they want to talk to sales. How are they going to do their research when they don't even know they have a problem? Or what if you're selling to innovators and early adopters? You're selling something that they didn't even know about. So I think the whole concept of we can just look what automation has got us. Yeah. Before automation, 60% of our sales organizations made quota. Yeah. After automation, 60% of our sales organizations make quota. Yeah. It's like, do you golf? Do you golf, Jeremy?
A little bit. Yeah, I live on a golf course.
Okay. Well, I would say a little bit then. All right. Well, to me, it's like golf. Like golf technology has come so far in the past decade, but the average golfer's handicap has not gone down one stroke.
Exactly.
Because it's not the arrow, it's the Indian. Now I'm combining a bunch of different analogies here, but you get where I'm going with this.
I get where you're going. Automation can never find problems from your prospects that they didn't know they had. Right. Because there's an emotional element there. People-based decisions on emotion. Automation, Siri cannot pull out emotion from a prospect to get them to build urgency in their mind that they want to change their situation and do that now. That's human behavior. Yes. That will never go away. This kind of leads us into something as well. What are some flaws that you're seeing in hiring, onboarding, and training processes that companies really need to fix as it relates to inside sales? What are you seeing out there?
So hiring has just been flipped, because before, the demand for inside salespeople and sales development people far outstripped supply.
Yeah.
Now it's flipped. Mm-hmm. And it's a double-edged sword, because now there's exponentially more candidates for every position than ever before. Yeah. But people have very weak hiring processes in place. Everyone's so gut about it. Like, oh yeah, I like them. Oh, they were so passionate. They asked me good questions at the end.
Sure.
I think people need to systematize their hiring process as scientifically as they do their sales process to get the best candidates in this market.
How do they do that?
Well, you have to
I know
really...
we could be on here for an hour talking about that.
And I'm no hiring expert. There are some fabulous hiring experts out there that I would refer you to. But I think it's really a matter of, number one, understanding what does the role require.
Yeah.
Like not only in skills, but in will, sales DNA, really understanding what the job is and making sure that the person that you're looking to hire understands what the job is. Like if you're hiring someone who's primarily phone-based and it's their first or second job out of college and they're like, it's phone-based. And they're like, oh, I love the phone. No, you don't.
Yeah.
You know, you probably don't. How about suffering massive rejection? Do you love that too? Is that your job?
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so I wanted to ask you this. I was watching you on a video earlier today. Your warrior cry to executives has been this: look at your budgets. Are you spending an equal amount of money on making your salespeople better as you are on technology? Are companies actually investing in skill set enhancements to make their reps better? What's going on?
Obligatory checkbox at sales kickoff. Or maybe they'll have someone come in and do training once during the year, and then no support for the management team to do reinforcement with that training, no continuous follow-up. Pretty much, once again, I'm in B2B tech. A lot of training, I think, is more motivational speaking.
Yeah. I agree. Pump you up and excite you. But, you know, here's the thing. It's always great to be motivated and excited. But as soon as you make that call and the prospect picks up the other line, if you don't know exactly what to ask and say to get that person on the other line to want to engage in a conversation to see if you can help them, all that motivation goes out very, very quickly when you get rejected over and over again. It's skill set. And, you know, we find in companies, even very large enterprise companies, who walk in and, you know, tell us, let's say I'm a new salesperson starting an organization today. What does our training look like over the next week, over the 2 weeks? You know what it is? Mainly product training. Here's what the product does.
Fire hose.
Benefits of the product. And that's really it. And here's the script. Good luck. And then they wonder why half of their salespeople they have to replace every 3 to 4 months.
Yeah.
Because there's no skill, there's no skills developed there. And usually it's old school training where they bring in an old school trainer that hasn't sold anything for decades. And they talk more about motivation and pumping you up. And here's a few things to say. And that's about it. I think that's the biggest problem. Mm-hmm. Now, you say the pendulum has swung too far over to the automation side of the equation. When in reality, and we've talked a little bit about this so far, but I want to go more deeper. Reality, the sales process is still about people selling to people. Mm-hmm. Give us more insight on that. I want to go deeper.
Well, so here's the thing.
Mm-hmm.
You have to make selling fun, and selling should be fun.
It should be.
You have to almost look at every interaction you have with a customer as an audition.
I like that.
Right? So when you have a conversation with someone, hang up the phone and say, did I get the role that I wanted? Like pretend like you're an actor. Did I get the role that I wanted? And the role should be one of trusted advisor, right? Someone who, did I show empathy? Did I present valuable information to them that maybe they didn't have before the conversation with me? I think self-analysis is a critical success factor, especially in modern selling.
I agree. I think the biggest problem in sales is the problem that you don't know you have. Because if you don't know what your problem is, then how on earth do you ever fix it? But once you know what the problem is, whose responsibility is it to do something about it? That's the biggest thing that sellers and companies don't understand, is they don't know what they don't know, right? They think that talking about the product and oh, by the way, we have a big brand. So when people answer the phone and we tell them we're from XYZ company, they should just want to buy from us. And we've got this little script with a couple paragraphs. In reality, nobody cares about you and who you are. They care only about themselves. Let's talk a little bit about this, because we've got a few more minutes here. Managing the inside sales process. What are a few big mistakes you're seeing managers make on trying to do that right now?
Let me not put the blame on the managers. Let me put the blame on probably the executive that made them a manager.
Okay.
Because what I see happen frequently is we promote our best reps into management,
Right,
and give them no skills. They don't know how to coach. They don't know how to give feedback.
yeah,
They don't know. All they know how to do is the job they were really, really good at.
sure,
They don't know how to talk to someone about their career path. They don't know how to handle problems. They don't know when to step in, when to step out.
yeah.
Like, I think that's the biggest problem.
What should an executive do with that? Is it just more training? They need to really train those people how to really understand that process, or what is a company? Let's say you come in, Trish, and you help that company. What are you helping them do to get them over that hurdle so they can really get to their objectives?
We offer a service called Coach the Coach, where it's got 4 sort of big pillars in it, where we can help turn individual contributors who have been promoted into good managers. Having said that, I grew up in sales with great mentors. Remember that word? M-E-N-T-O-R, mentor?
Mentors, right?
Yeah. And I think that has fallen by the wayside.
Okay.
And I find that heartbreaking,
Yeah.
because I think we're all so busy and so focused on our screens
Yeah.
and on our metrics that we forget that it's also our job to mentor our people. So I'd like to just bring that back.
I think mentoring is so important. You look at the greatest, athletes, for example,
Mm-hmm.
they always have a great mentor. Like Tiger Woods, greatest golfer on planet Earth, arguably speaking, one of the 2 greatest, has a hitting instructor.
Yeah.
He's probably way better than that hitting instructor. Obviously, he's a professional, but he still has a coach. He still has a mentor that he's continually learning. He's refining his process. Basketball players, NBA players, they're training all the time. They're trained by mentors who have paved that path. Sales professionals, I read in Forbes the other day, the average salesperson in North America spends less than $100 a year on sales training. And then they wonder why they don't have the right skills to achieve quota. They wonder why they're not making the money they want for them and their families. And then their companies wonder why. Why are salespeople not great? It's because they don't invest in their salespeople like they should be.
I always tell young salespeople, nobody owns your success but you. So if you just sit in that chair and wait for your company to keep investing in you, it ain't going to happen.
You're not going to be around.
You have to invest in yourself.
I agree. Okay. So this is probably, I saved this question for last because I love how you talk about this, because I talk a lot about this as well. I see this so much with salespeople, what you call rush to demo syndrome. Tell us more about rush to demo syndrome. What does that mean?
Once again, I'm going to go back to what's the hardest part of the sales process. It's the beginning.
Yeah.
Right? It's understanding your buyer's current environment, understanding how open they are to change, crafting a vision of what the future could look like if they do change. Those are our really hard things.
Yeah.
I'm going to go back to the easy button. Hey, let me show you our stuff. And here, look at this, whizzy bangy, woozy hoozy, look at that, blah, blah, blah. That's the easy button.
Well, the easy button is so easy that in fact, it very rarely works. That's how easy it is.
Exactly.
Yeah. How can we fix it? How can sales professionals, the biggest thing that causes rejection and objections are salespeople who present their solution too early in the sales process that triggers that resistance. Mm-hmm. What are some things they can do to really be patient with that and not bring up their presentation or their solution too early in that conversation?
I mean, I think you have to be involved and evolved enough to be listening to your buyer to get a signal when it's the right time to start talking about the solution. Yeah. So it's just a matter of, unless they're there for a demo. I mean, some people just set demos right from the get-go. Yeah. But
I think you're even in danger, even if it's set demo from the very get-go, for you to just do a demo without first having a little bit of discovery there to basically find out if they even have a problem, what the problem is, what the root cause, what caused the problem, and how it's affecting them. If we can't understand that on our own, there's no way we can do an effective demo to really go over how we can help them solve things that we don't even know about.
Yeah.
It's crazy that salespeople get into that, that I call it the push, the push-pull dynamic.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, this is great. I can't thank you enough for being on here with us today. Do you have any final thoughts or advice for our listeners, Trish?
Hone your craft. I mean, you're listening to this.
Yeah.
So there's one way to do that, right? But I mean, it's just think about it every day. Self-analysis is so critical. And it shouldn't just happen when you lose a deal. It should happen when you win a deal, when a deal is stalled. Self-analysis.
Well, I think we talked about this a little bit earlier. The biggest problem that most salespeople have in organizations on achieving greatness is their ego. Them thinking they don't need to keep learning. Them thinking they've already arrived, they already know everything there is to know, and they can't learn from other experts. If you want to increase your income as an organization, a company, or as an individual salesperson, you have to let go of your ego, and your income can always increase. I love that. All right. Where can our listeners learn more about you and your company and how you can possibly help? We have thousands of business owners that will be listening to this. Where can they learn more about you and your company and how you can potentially solve some of their challenges that they're having?
So I'm very vocal on the LinkedIn platform. So if you want to understand what I think about, what I have opinions on, you can follow me on LinkedIn. And our website is bridgegroupinc.com. Does it do a great job of articulating our services? No, not necessarily. But if you talk to me, I will.
I love that. So bridgegroupinc.com, you can go there. Trish, is there something they can opt in there to learn more about your services?
Yeah. So we don't have, I would suggest there's two interesting sections on our website.
Okay.
Just look at our resources page because we do a ton of research on what's going on in the market. And it's available in downloads and also our blog. Like right now, we're talking about things like what's the hiring climate like? What's the back to office environment like? So those are the two most interesting parts of our site.
All right. So I want you to go to bridgegroupinc.com. When you hear this, we'll have the website posted down below here. Go there, opt in, really learn like a sponge. One thing that I've found doing some research on you, Trish, is you are somebody that learns and you want to continually learn. You're like a sponge, and that's where you've arrived at this space in your life where you're helping hundreds of different large organizations really get to that level. So I can't thank you enough for being on here, Trish.
Thank you.
Stay safe out there. We'll talk to you soon.
All right.
Now, if you're serious about joining the top 1%, I mean the top 1%, and you want to experience more training content just like this, click the links right over there. Right over there, they're exactly what you need to see next. You see, I release new episodes featuring top salespeople and sales authorities, multiple six-figure, high six-figure, even seven-figure earners every Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday every single week at 10 a.m. Eastern, 7 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. And if you're new here, do yourself a favor and smash that subscribe button right below, and join our new Facebook group, Sales Revolution. You see, it's free, and there's a link in the description below just for you. We put it there for you. Finally, I make posts on Facebook and Instagram each and every day with more tips and training, so be sure and follow me and turn on your notifications. So make a comment in the first 7 minutes to any of my latest posts, share this episode, and there's a very real chance that you're going to win some killer prizes. And here's the thing. Don't sit on the sidelines. Don't be like everyone else. Get into the game. Join the sales revolution. Stay active. Get involved. Learn the right skills, and we will show you how to take your life and income to a level that most only dream about. Stay safe. Talk to you soon.